We welcome in CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez alongside former NBA coach and player Avery Johnson. And fellas, I feel like we cannot start this conversation without discussing Jayson Tatum and what we saw happen there late in the fourth. And even despite the Celtics trying to fight back late, Tatum had a fantastic night, putting up 42 points before going down on that non-contact injury. Visibly upset, visibly in pain. But coach, just how crushing was that injury to the Celtics, considering that is your superstar who maybe hasn't had such a great series, but it seemed like he was finding his groove there.
Yeah, he was definitely finding his groove. This guy was sensational tonight. Sure, he had a couple of questionable shots maybe in the fourth quarter, but they wouldn't have even been in position to win this game without Jayson Tatum. Listen, my first year in the NBA was 1988. I spent 16 years in the league, playing, close to 10 years coaching. I'm not going to assume what this injury is, but historically, when these types of situations happen, it's somewhat of an Achilles. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's a severe ankle sprain. Didn't really look like it. I'm trying to be positive because I know this young man. My son is great friends with Jayson Tatum. But historically, when you see this type of reaction, it's something that's going to take a while for him to recover from.
Yeah, I'd say it was brutal to watch. I mean, Tatum he was cooking tonight. It wasn't a great series for him, at least efficiency-wise, prior to tonight. And tonight, Kiana, you're absolutely right. He did find his groove. He looked fantastic. He was leading the Celtics. The rest of the Celtics outside of Derek White were struggling. But here comes Jayson Tatum. Everybody was waiting to see the Jayson Tatum game. We saw it tonight. He was unbelievable, unguardable, 42 points and 8 rebounds and 4 assists, and he had 4 steals and 2 blocks. He was everywhere. And he took a couple of shots from 3 that I think probably he would want back, but he even made 7 of his 16 3-pointers. And then when he crumpled to the ground, we don't want to assume on this. Maybe it's a calf strain, best case scenario, but to see him in the back of the arena, first he gets helped off of the floor, and then he's in a wheelchair and he's covering his face, and you hate to see it because Jayson Tatum, just the other day, he was asked about how he's played in this series, and unlike a lot of players, he said, look, I get the criticism. I do need to play better. I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm not going to be angry about it. I'm going to just try to play better. I thought it was just a really adult, professional answer. He's a likable guy. He was trying to correct how he was playing. He did tonight. And then for him to go down, it's a brutal blow for him, and it's an absolute crusher for the Celtics, who are now down 3-1, and only 13 teams in NBA history have come back and recovered for that. And just, it couldn't have been a worst-case scenario for the Celtics tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, especially coming off such a monster performance that he had, leaving in a wheelchair. Obviously, we're all just even fans of the game, hoping for the best for Jayson Tatum, because we certainly want to see him suit up this series. But guys, on the other side of this matchup, I mean, I feel like I got to start naming the Knicks the comeback kids, because this is another game. They're down double digits. They claw their way back from the win, trailed by 14 in the third, had that 37-point third quarter, the most points they have scored in a quarter this postseason. John, what impressed you the most with the Knicks' performance this time around?
The resilience, right? They did it in game 1, came back from down 20. They did it in game 2, came back from down 20. Then they're down 14 in the second half. And you mentioned that third quarter, Kiana. Well, who was it in the third quarter? No surprise here, Mr. Clutch himself, Jalen Brunson. He had 39 points tonight, 18 in the third quarter, Kiana. He was fantastic. And then the supporting cast. Karl-Anthony Towns, his best game of the series by far, certainly the most efficient. And I thought Mikal Bridges was just unbelievable. Yeah, Jalen Brunson in the third quarter. Mikal Bridges comes along in the fourth quarter while Jalen Brunson is getting a little rest, and he just takes that lead and helps them build on it. He had 23 points and 7 rebounds and 3 assists. And then defensively, 4 steals, a massive steal in the fourth quarter. He had a block. OG Anunoby had another big steal late in the fourth quarter. These guys, the comeback kids is perfect for these guys. First win in the series for a home team, and it's because the Knicks just don't quit. They don't care how much they're down. They just kept plugging in on a night when Jayson Tatum really had it going before that injury. The Knicks said, you know what, we're going to do it as a team, and they just kept after it, and they get a win, and they are on the verge of making it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years.
Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Jalen Brunson all made 11 or more field goals. OG Anunoby made 8. Those 4 guys were the big 4, dominated the game. They only needed 10 points off their bench. John made some outstanding points. Those guys were very efficient overall. I thought Mikal Bridges was terrific on both ends of the floor. And when he's scoring and playing the way he did when he helped the Phoenix Suns a couple of years ago make it to the NBA Finals, that's the Mikal Bridges that we saw. But, hey, captain closer, Mr. Cool himself. I coached against this young man, Jalen Brunson, and we thought we were going to beat him in the NCAA tournament back in 2018. He did the same thing. You play 2 halves in college basketball, but what's equivalent to the third quarter, the first 10 minutes of the second half? Man, this guy put on the show along with Mikal Bridges and a guy that's with Minnesota, Dante DiVincenzo. So captain closer was phenomenal. I'm really impressed with this New York Knicks victory.
Captain closer, because this isn't the first time we've seen him really turn on those burners in the second half. But guys, Celtics headed home, game 5. But let's be honest, things looking a little grim for Boston with their all-star going down. But we've seen games when it comes to the Celtics team where even when Jayson Tatum's not having a great night, you see Jaylen Brown pick up the slack. We found ways for them to turn things up when they need to and their backs are against the wall. But Coach, what's your expectations as we head into a must-win elimination game 5 for the C's?
I'm going to see if you guys agree with me on this. I'm going to zero in on Drew Holiday. I am a big Drew Holiday fan. You know, what he did in Milwaukee, 2 Olympic gold medals, we wouldn't have won it without him. Boston last year in the finals, while Jaylen Brown was MVP, Tatum was getting credit. I thought the glue was Drew Holiday. And when they need him to score 20 or 25 points or 18 points and play that outstanding defense, he's got to step up in a major way. I mean, in a serious way in this next game if Boston wants to keep their playoff hopes alive and hopes of winning this series. So he's the guy that I'm zeroing in on. Peyton Pritchard, obviously, he's going to have to play well. But, those 42 points that Jayson Tatum and what he does on both ends of the floor is hard to replace. So I'm expecting that Jayson Tatum is going to be out for the remainder of this series and potentially the remainder of the playoffs. We haven't gotten word on that yet. I want to jump the gun. But if he is, Drew Holiday's got to step up.
John, what's your take?
Yeah, I totally agree with Avery. I mean, Drew Holiday is a fantastic player. For whatever reason, Drew's offensive game this season hasn't been his best. He's definitely having a down year offensively, but he can still influence the game in so many different ways. Defensively, he's still really good, super switchable, and he's an excellent passer. He has to get involved. Al Horford didn't have a good game. He's been pressed into starter duty because Kristaps Porzingis, something's still going on with him. He hasn't looked like himself. They're going to need Al Horford to step forward, whatever they can get out of Kristaps Porzingis. And then ultimately, it really probably does come down to Jaylen Brown, who has not been very good efficiency-wise in this series. He had 20 and 7 tonight. That's fine in terms of the counting stats, but he's going to have to really level up. Don't forget, this is the Finals MVP from last year. When they hung banner number 18, it was Jaylen Brown who was stepping forward, and it was Tatum who was playing 1A to his 1. So now, if Tatum can't go, and it doesn't look like he will be able to, but as Avery said, we'll wait to find out about that. Jaylen Brown has to absolutely shake off the rust there and be efficient and be the Finals MVP caliber player that he was last year if they have any chance of keeping their season alive. I don't think it's over for the Boston Celtics. They're really deep. They're really good. They can all shoot. They can all defend. But yeah, their backs are up against the wall. 3-1 is not a spot that you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, they've got depth. They've got players, but who is going to step up to the call when their backs are against the wall as they are facing elimination at home at TD Garden? Avery and John, as always, we appreciate that insight. Well, take a look at the Celtics when they're trailing in a series 2-0. They've lost 4 straight series when trailing by 2 games to none. Now they head home to try to salvage this series. Could they be shorthanded? Possibly, but they still have one more chance, and you're doing it at home.